Hello everybody, I try to be as efficient as possible. Here we have yeast, half a tablespoon, and then we have sugar, half a tablespoon, and then we have room temperature water for 400 grams. You just pour it on top of them, and then you will add the flour 600 grams. The flour would be 500 grams, so the total dough would be 900 grams that will be divided into two big doughs, which will give us two regular size barbaris. Okay, 600 grams, a little bit more than 600 grams because I also added more than 400 grams water. Blend them all together with this ever easy made Ninja. I am really grateful for it. This is super quick and super fast, than anything else I've tried before. Only 1 minute. This is the dough after 1 minute mixing. You see, it is not sticky anymore, just a little bit because it's very, very wet. And it is about 80% hydration, so it's very, very wet. But the amount of stickiness, as you see, is very low because it is mixed very well in just 1 minute. So we take out the dough. We have to make a round shape that you will see in the video, and the reason behind it is because the more round it is, the more layers we will have, just like croissant making. There are multiple layers and layers and layers, so you get that crust and that unique texture from it. We want the same thing in Barbari. Sangak is not that way. Other Persian bread not necessarily that way, except a few other but I would say most of the flatbreads except Sangak. Alright, we make the big as you see, it's very sticky, but I didn't use any flour at all. If this amount of stickiness in bakery shops, they usually use a little bit of flour, but I do not like extra flour as much because I believe it will harden the texture of the bread. The natural texture of the bread is more presentable when there is less flour mixed with it during the shaping process. So you shape it this way, just like a ball. You try to pull everything from top of the ball into the bottom of the ball, and then you will kind of knead it, and then there we go. So no flour, no oil, nothing. This is my method. And you need to rest it for minimum for 30 minutes if it's in a warm and dark place. If it's cold, then you might need to give it an hour. Just a little bit sprinkle of flour, as you see, just a little bit, and then cut the dough into two pieces. And then we gotta do the same thing which we did with the big dough, with the main mother dough. We're gonna do the same thing with the babies. Make them round, pull everything from top to bottom and knead them on the bottom. And then we put the side that we have kneaded onto the wheat bran on our surface. I hope I tried to make it as clear as possible that how I am making the ball. I assume you will probably need to watch it a couple of times if you don't know how to do it. I did it on YouTube a couple of years ago, and I tried it offline, hands-on, and then I learned it. It's not the easiest thing, but it's very much fun. When you learn it, you will love it. By the way, this is my first ever video, so there might be some technical or from the professional video making aspect. I am not really concerned about it, because I believe that I just want to show how to make the easiest Barbari with any language possible or with any tools that I currently have. So I'm not worried about it. So you need to, after you shape the balls, you need to press the center of each baby dough, because when they grow, when they are proofed and they are almost doubled in size before baking, they're gonna be very roundy. We don't want it very roundly like a ball. We want it round and flat. So we press a little bit and then we put it in the proofer. I do not have a proofer here in hostel, so I use the second oven, and there is a function called steam clean. I just tried it once and I liked it, so every time I'm using it as a proofer. Steam clean, there is a little temperature inside and there is moisture, which I add hot water on the bottom of the oven. So we rest it for half an hour. Meanwhile, we will make the rumal. Rumal is basically the polish. This rumal for 2 loaves is made up of 1 full tablespoon of flour, the same flour we use for the bread, and 1 teaspoon of sugar and cold water. We stir it in cold condition. When the flour is dissolved, then we put it on high fire and we keep stirring until we see as in the video. When it starts to steam up and thicken up, we gotta be careful because we don't want it very thick. We want it very fluid and very soft, and not as actually, we want it fluid but as thick as possible. So it's cold. When it's cold, we add a quarter teaspoon of baking soda and we mix it well. When it is cold, cool down. This is about 35 to 40 minutes after I put the 2 doughs in the proofer. And here we gotta do the polish, the rumal, and fingering. I call it fingering part. I love the fingering part. As you see, it's super sticky, and which means very good, which means the dough is pretty much ready. All the gluten has been released and freed, I think so. This is the rumal, about 2 tablespoons for 1 dough. So you flatten the dough once again and try to release the air from the bubbles on the surface as much as you can see as possible, and then you finger it like that. This is the coolest part about making Barbari for me. Different people have different types. Actually, different people also make different types, different patterns of fingering. This is the very common, typical, traditional one. And the easiest one, in Iranian bakeries, which they produce more than 2,000-3,000 loaves a day, they use a tool which imitates 10 or 15 fingers at the same time. It's pretty much faster. So this is my preheated oven with preheated pan that I missed taking the video from spreading the, I thought I was capturing, but I didn't. So this was the first one. I will show you how to flatten, how to put the dough ready for bake on the baking pan. This is the second dough. While the first dough is being baked in 550 Fahrenheit for 10 minutes. I set an alarm for 10 minutes, and then while I'm preparing the second dough, I'm waiting for the first one to get baked. We do the same thing. Take out the air of any bubbles, and the reason is because they're gonna burn. The bubbles are very thin in surface and in thickness. They are very thin, so they burn before the bread is fully baked. They burn, and you will have a black spots basically. And try to get the bottom of your flattened dough with the flour on the surface as much as possible, because when you put it on the baking tray, it's gonna be sticky, and you don't want it to be sticky. So there is as much as bran on the bottom. There we go. This is after 10 minutes. Very, very much well baked. I would say perfectly baked. And I had half of the first loaf in 5 minutes with nothing, just the bread. It was so good. Okay, here you will see how you need to pull the dough. Actually, this second dough, because it rested about 10 to 15 minutes more than the first one, it was still it was waiting for the first dough, for the first loaf to bake. As you see, it's very soft, and I was quite excited about the first one, and I missed the second one to put it in the proper way. It turned out to be fine at the end, but it was not as beautiful as it could be, or I would say as beautiful as the first one, but it's fine. So the pan is super hot. It's just out from the oven, 550 Fahrenheit, super hot, very careful. And if you have a thick baking tray, that would also do the same thing. And by the way, this is the method that we are using at home. If we have a bakery or we have a stone or pizza oven, that's very much different. So this is the first one, and I'm sorry for this sound background. People at hostel kitchen are speaking. It's really good. It's really, really, really good. Texture, density, flavor, everything. It's so good. It's really so good. I love it. I love it. It's never the easiest bread ever, but this one and this method is the easiest that I have ever found in making Barbari. After making it for, I think, I think couple of 100 times maybe. It's just so good. Okay, this is after 10 minutes for the second dough, but the oven was not as hot as the first one, so I added another 5 minutes, and this is 15 minutes total for the second one, and it's well done. You see the edges of the circle of the loaf, some parts are pretty thick because I pulled it too much. I mean, it was too soft and I missed the time limit, so but that's fine. It still has the same taste, and those parts I can use for fillings, for like as a sandwich or as a wrap kind of. There we go, Barbari.